welcome to the next project. This is episode 2 of our Epiphone Authentic 335 Reneck project series. This guitar started life with a broken off headstock. It was purchased by the owner recently with the intent of making a new neck for an otherwise brand new guitar, but the neck is going to be to custom specs, so probably cheaper to reneck this guitar than have a custom guitar made, right? Well, sounds like a good plan. We have got a 3-ply mahogany neck now. We're going to be having a volute, the original open book kind of Gibson Epiphone headstock shape. We will be reusing the ebony and mother of pearl fingerboard that came on this guitar. We are getting it fit to the body. A lot of things going on already as we start the next project. Just in case you missed it, there was a kickoff video taking the neck off of this guitar and also a Les Paul. Pretty simple and straightforward, similar processes for both. Removed the frets, pulled the fingerboards off using just heat, not like a iron and steam, and also using a heat gun and foam cutting probes to remove the neck. And overall, everything went really well. This is a good learning process for me. With the broken neck extracted and glued together so I have a good template, I need to prep a new neck blank, and I'm starting out with a big block of mahogany, ripping it into 3 separate pieces. I'll reorient the pieces and glue them back together to make a 3-ply laminated mahogany neck. Now I'm running it through a jointer and also through a thickness sander to get the pieces all ready to glue back together. A lot of work leading up to this. Crazy. Why do I do this? I don't know. Smearing a little bit of glue on the lumber here, and it was about this time I was thinking, where's that roller that I have? Well, I still don't know, but I did find it later, much later. So anyway, a lot of glue smeared in there. Don't worry, what's not needed ends up squeezing out. You'll see, it squeezes out all over the place. That's okay. I put down paper, so I didn't glue it to my bench. Also used a lot of clamps, spaced probably every 3 or so inches apart, trying to distribute the load evenly everywhere, and set it aside to dry. I went and did something else for a while. Fortunately, we have the original neck, even though it was broken, removed from the guitar and glued back together now. It's a really good template to reference. So I'm able to know where the nut was in relation to the heel of the neck and the tenon. I've got everything that I can easily reference and measure and replicate, which is really, really important. We are making a few changes, however. This will get a 10-degree headstock angle instead of the original Epiphone 14-degree headstock angle. We're adding a volute, which some people will say volutes don't help at all. Well, okay, but it's getting one. And if it does help, we'll have it. We're changing the neck shape also in a couple of ways. It will have a uniform 1-inch thick from the top of the fingerboard to the bottom of the neck thickness, basically from the volute all the way back to the heel. So that's custom. It will also have an asymmetric section shape to the neck. It'll be rounder and fuller bodied on the bass side and more tapered on the treble side. So overall, a pretty custom neck. I don't think you're going to get this from Epiphone. I don't know if Gibson would even do something like this. But anyway, here we go. We're doing it here. Refilling my pencil, getting some lead in there, finding a center line, getting that marked out, grabbing the truss rod, figuring out where it needs to go in relation to the nut and the heel and everything, using the original neck again to mark some things out so I know how deep the opening needs to be to access the front of the truss rod so I can adjust it. Oh, a lot of things to do, a lot of things to think about. Time to do some trenching. And what do I mean? Well, I'm cutting the truss rod trench. I have done this a number of different ways, and recently had seen a StewMac advertisement for a truss rod template. It's acrylic template, and it is a 3-figure price tag on that. And I think it's right at $100 for basically what you see here, but made out of acrylic. I was like, ouch, that's a little steep. But I was like, that's a good idea. I think I'm going to try that. So I did make one out of MDF. I think I've got about $5 wrapped up in this maybe. In general, it works pretty well. You use a brass guide insert on the bottom of the router base, and that slides within the slit that is in the MDF template. Overall, pretty simple concept, and it works really well. However, one thing I did notice, even though my brass guide slides easily within the template, as soon as you start routing, it's kicking up all that fine routing debris that you're cutting away. And that binds up between the brass bushing, the guide bushing, and the MDF template itself. So stay tuned. I've got a solution to that coming soon. Again, using the original neck to double check everything, to mark things out. I have a custom template here that has dowels on a center line that I can drop in the truss rod trench to trace a fat width dimension to the taper of the neck on here, just for reference. Also using a lot of my other Sharpie marker lines to cut, again, a fat shape to the neck, and we're doing a lot of rough cutting here. Before I started rough cutting, it would have been an ideal time to cut in like carbon fiber rod trenches, to add carbon fiber. However, I didn't do it. I was still on the fence as to whether or not we should add carbon fiber to this neck. Swapped some messages with the owner, and he's in favor of it, but he was like, do what you think. And I put it off. I know I can go back still and add them. It would have been easier with all that extra wood, but you know what? I don't do things the easy way. Have you watched this channel? I never do things the easy way. So anyway, here we are at the bandsaw, cutting away a lot of the extra meat that we don't need, and we're getting close to doing some fun stuff. Heavy rain outside, but we're still working. We've got the neck rough shaped, all dimensions every which way. Right now it's routed to about 45 millimeters, so it's fat is where it's going to end up all the way down. Still fat at the heel. That's okay. I'd rather leave a little at this point and sand it and shave it away later. Okay, now we're ready to shape the back of the neck using our neck shaping routing fixture. Sorry if you hear all the rain out there. It's really coming down. I've made some cams. This is an asymmetrical cam. It's rounder on the bass side, a little more cutaway on the treble side. They're a pair of offset asymmetric cams that we're going to put on this part of the contraption so we can shape this thing. Phew, what? Yeah, let's get after it as we continue the next project. What are we doing here? This is interesting. Well, it looks kind of fun. This is a neck shaping fixture, basically a collection of parts, a slide for the router, a cradle that will swing and swivel for the neck itself. I originally made this, I think, a little over a year ago, and it's recently gone through some upgrades. I now have that big extruded aluminum rib or rail or cradle or whatever it is underneath the neck. Also have some 3D printed parts to help me clamp the neck on center and get it all in place. And also I'm 3D printing my cams that help guide the swing and the swivel of the neck to help shape the neck itself as the router slides back and forth across the surface of the neck. Whoa, I'm saying neck a lot there, aren't I? I'm going kind of slow here because I haven't used this in quite a while. And also this is the first time I've used these cams, and I want to make sure I don't overcut right off the bat because it would be easy to do. Basically, if you set the router bit too deep, you're cutting too deep. So we've got it all done. It took me almost 12 minutes to rough shape the back of the neck, which isn't too bad. Unclamp everything, and there is the meat of the whole contraption right there. And that is what we made. Gives a nice starting shape to the back of the neck that we'll be able to refine by hand. Some rasps and filing and things, and sanding. We're going to have sanding in our future. Yay, sanding. Adding wings to the headstock, which is just some scraps that have been cut off and then resawn, and now they're getting stuck back on the neck. This is pretty quick and easy, slip sliding with some glue all over. Since this is not a structural joint where we're gluing the wings onto the headstock, there is the opportunity to use something like salt on the surface where you're gluing the pieces together. And what salt does is about the equivalent of throwing sand on ice. It just helps keep it from being slippery. So the two pieces of wood would actually kind of grip each other from the salt granules. Anyway, I do like salt. I put salt on my eggs and steak and potatoes and everything else, but typically not in my glue. I'm sorry, I'm off track here. The clamps are off, some of the excess trimmed away. Now I have the headstock, well actually the whole neck, stuck to my bench using some really sticky double-sided tape. It is not my regular pattern tape, it's some almost like carpet tape, really aggressive stuff. And I'm using the same router setup that I used to shape the back of the neck. That is the same sled, whatever you want to call it, that I used to shape the back of the neck. But now I'm just sliding it back and forth on a couple chunks of MDF that are clamped to my workbench. And I'm basically able to plane the surface of the headstock down to the thickness I want. And now we're at a drum sander that I made, years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. And we are thicknessing the neck basically by taking many swipes underneath the spinning sandpaper to get the thickness down. Whew, a lot of work. My eye started twitching and I was like, I want to see the shape of the headstock, not just this big paddle thing. I want to see what this neck is going to look like. So I figured out where the center line was and I printed out a pattern template using my 3D printer. I'm using that as often as I can, want to justify having it. And anyway, we're going to do something like that. Ooh, back to the bandsaw. Going to cut away some more fat here, get it closer. I think I'm leaving a little over 1/8 of an inch, maybe a couple millimeters of excess meat. A little bit of wood left out over there, just beyond the line. I want to sneak up on my final line. I don't want to cut too close. I've done that before. Cut on the wrong side of the line. That's not a good day. So anyway, we're sneaking up on it. Rough cutting everything still, but we're getting closer to seeing what the headstock will look like when it's finished. And it looks something like that. Again, referencing the original neck. Thank goodness I didn't destroy it when I took it out of there, but using it to find the lengths of everything, make sure the fingerboard's going to fit where it needs to go, try to realize what the shape of that whole custom tenon is. Here we're looking at, it's 4.25 degree angle there, I guess. Trying to figure out exactly where, there's the top of my head. At least that was quick. Trying to figure out exactly where that tenon is gonna go, where it's hiding in this block of wood, really. I have to excavate, cut away, get rid of a bunch of wood to find the tenon in the block of wood. And as I'm doing this, I realize that the factory tenon, it actually isn't quite on center, and that probably wasn't intentional, but as they were probably fitting the neck to the body, they shaved away and, they had to do what they had to do to get it to fit and line up with the bridge. And that is exactly what I will have to do too. We start out with things as close to center, actually on center, and then we adjust that to get things to line up best we can. So I've got it pretty well mapped out at this point. I've got some black marker so I can easily see a few marks telling me which side of the line to cut on. And again, leaving everything just a little bit fat. Using a little double-sided masking tape here. This is basically a masking tape with adhesive on both sides, and a little template that I made out of some MDF using a mortise bit, I believe it's called. It's has a slight spiral to the cutting surface and a bearing on it. So I'm able to ride the bearing along the template and cut down into the neck, trying to find where that tenon is within the neck. Basically flip it over, new tape, start routing again. So here we have it. We've got first part of our routing done. We're running, sliding over to the bandsaw, cutting away a little bit of the meat that I don't need. Wherever I can use the bandsaw to cut it away, or even if you could use a jigsaw for this or a hand saw, one of those Japanese pull saws would be great for this if you didn't have a bandsaw. But as you can see, we're getting closer to revealing what the tenon's going to look like. And right now it is pretty much centered, and it's pretty much even width all the way back, and it's a little wider than I need and a little deeper too. So I have to do some shaping work. I sneak up on what the final shape will be. Here I've clamped a chunk of 1/4-inch MDF in my face vise on my bench and dropped the truss rod trench onto that to help hold everything in place. Gives me an extra set of hands kind of, so I can whittle away, chisel away, get a little bit closer. There we go, the new and the old. Bad camera work. But there it is, kind of roughed in. The new tenon is fat everywhere. It's bigger than it needs to be. So I have a lot of trimming to do yet. It was right about now that I realized I hadn't prepared the body for the new neck. It still had a bunch of glue in the neck pocket and some old maple veneer that was used as shims in there. So I had to do a lot of carving with the chisel and some sanding with, hey, some sanding. All right, it's about time for some sanding. Basically clean everything up, make it ready for the new neck. And I'm being careful not to destroy the original finish. This will be getting touch-up, but if I can leave original finish on, I want to do that. Here I am using a sharp chisel. Yes, a sharp chisel. Carving away excess material that I don't need. Doing this step over and over and over and over. And it was about now I was like, man, I need a good way to hold the neck in the body without putting a clamp on it. So I invented this. It's a chunk of MDF with 2 screws that actually drop down into the humbucker cavity and then clamp the tail end of the tenon into the body. So it makes it easy. Just loosen it up a little bit. I can slide the tenon out, slide the neck in, tighten it up. It holds the neck really well. Here's another little thing that I'm tinkering with. That green block is a 3D printed piece that holds a 6mm square carbon fiber rod that I'm using to verify my neck angle from the neck onto the body angle, so the neck lines up with the bridge, not only height-wise, but also string path from the nut to the bridge, so the strings stay on the neck or over the fingerboard. So trying a lot of different things, inventing on the fly, and we're having a good day. It's been a good day. We are making a working template from a master template, which is 3D printed. Again, I'm trying to use that 3D printer and justify having it. So every chance I get, I'm using it. So using a 3D printed plastic master template to cut into the MDF here on the router table, shooting MDF all over the place. So wear a respirator when you're on this stuff, because that MDF dust is not good for you. There we are. Peel it apart. It's stuck on there pretty good. And it is ready for some hardening. We're going to do that with a little bit of thin super glue, CA, cyanacrylate. I don't know how you say that. So we're hardening the edges. This just makes it more durable. Also, we can hit this with some sandpaper when it flashes off and is dry. It gives us a nice, hard, smooth edge. The working template is now taped to the headstock itself, and using a compression bit, which basically cuts up and down at the same time. So it's a little bit better to limit tear out and various nasty things. But it is a mean bit, so keep your hands away from it. It's spinning fast and it likes to eat stuff, so keep your hands away from the bit. And there we go. That's pretty much roughed in. It's looking good. Ooh, that's on there good. Okay, there we go. Looks nice. Still needs a little sanding, but you know what? We're getting close. Ooh, oh, gotta work on that. Oh, that's next. All right. Ugh, always more work. So is rasping as good as sanding? I don't know. Not much sanding in this video. I'm having a little withdrawal. This is an Amazon tapered wood rasp. It's kind of like the Stumac Dragon rasp that you may have seen, which is a very aggressive tapered rasp, good for this type of thing. These Amazon rasps are far less expensive, probably not as durable though in the long run, but I've had it for a few years and so far it's holding up pretty good. And a handheld spindle sander, helping clean things up a bit. We've had a pretty good day in the garage. We've got a lot done. We've got the neck roughed in everywhere. We got the heel shape roughed in, the volute roughed in, the headstock. We'll still call it roughed in. It's still a long ways to go on that. Truss rod cavity is in. The neck to body pocket is, it's fitting good. I do have a little clamp in there to make sure I don't drop anything. That'd be bad. That's about it for today. So I really do appreciate you spending some time with me. Thank you very much. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. I'd greatly appreciate that. Hit the thumbs up button to let YouTube know you like this kind of content. Ring the bell for future notifications. And actually, I think if you're not subscribed, that will take you to a subscription link. That'd be cool too. Please leave a comment. I love hearing from everybody all around the world. Until next time, take care of yourself and those around you. Bye.